Breaking news this afternoon, the first black U.S. Secretary of State, Colin Powell, passing away following complications of COVID-19. He was 84. Brooks Spector is an expert on U.S. politics and international relations. Brooks is an associate editor at Daily Maverick. Brooks, I really do appreciate the time at short notice. Thank you. Colin Powell really lived an extraordinary life.
No, there's no question about it. He was a child of immigrants from Jamaica. He went to City University of New York, got involved in ROTC, which is Reserve Officer Training Corps, and found his calling within the U.S. military when he served as a second lieutenant and then moved up through the ranks thereafter, became the first black chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and then, of course, Secretary of State later, as you mentioned as well. And always, I've been listening this afternoon to people who knew him well. I only met him once or twice in Tokyo, in fact. People who knew him well said he always had time to mentor younger officers, people more junior to him. And the basic characteristic that people ascribed to him was not just a sense of leadership, which he had in vast quantities, but a sense of empathy for those who were lower than he was on the totem pole. And that's something rather rare. I mean, everybody in Washington may be ambitious, but not everybody has enormous quantities of empathy.
I mean, Brooks, in a way, his life and his record will stand for what it is. For many people, perhaps the primary moment and the thing that he will be remembered for was the invasion of Iraq, that speech he gave to the United Nations.
Well, there were two invasions of Iraq, of course. The first one was a joint United Nations effort, some 45 nations, and that was in his time as chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. That was successful in that it was limited. It did not attempt to invade Baghdad. The second one, which you're referring to, was that speech at the UN testifying to the danger and the threat posed by Saddam Hussein's regime and its weapons of mass destruction, which turned out not to be weapons of mass destruction at all. And I understand from what I've read and from what I've heard today as well, that troubled him deeply, obviously. It was a great pain to him that he had been effectively deceived into delivering a speech that was that forceful, putting his reputation on the line publicly to the world for something that was demonstrably not the case. But one other thing we should mention, although he said that he had always been a Republican and he supported the Republican Party and its virtues, he could not bring himself to support Donald Trump in his run for the presidency and spoke against it. And he had supported Barack Obama in his run for the presidency as well. I think principles in this case are stronger than party affiliation.
Brooks Spector, I really appreciate the time. Thank you. Associate editor at Daily Maverick, as you can hear, expert on international relations and U.S. politics.